Setting up. Sorry, I won't be able to share my video. I don't have sufficient lighting. So we just get started. All right, so let me share my screen. So we just get started. Let me share my screen. Um, can anyone just confirm you can see my screen? Anyone currently sharing my screen? Okay, so I have, okay, all right, great. Thanks, Phineas. Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Summer. All right, so we'll get started right away. So once again, I welcome every one of you to this webinar session. This is actually the second webinar that we are having for this group. Actually, for the other group, we've had some series of webinars, sharing the vision, trying to explain what the internship entails, what is required for you to succeed in the internship, what is in it for you, right, in terms of financial benefit, in terms of being confident that, you have a skill and you're able to use it, right? So, yeah. So this is actually the second internship, and my name is Ifyokin Yang. So I will be your host for this internship, right? Okay. So let's go in. So a little about myself for introduction. So I'm a full stack developer at KBL Technologies. These are my tech stack, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, TypeScript, Tailwind CSS, Git, and GitHub. API integration, MongoDB for database. I also work with PostgreSQL, MySQL, Node.js for backend, Express.js for setting up my server, SQLize, Mongoose, which are SQLize, of course, is an ORM. We have Docker, Nest.js for the backend also. We also have REST API, type ORM. Of course, I also work with WordPress, use that to design websites. I proficient in cPanel and web hosting, just to mention but a few, right? So this is really about myself. Of course, full stack web development just has to do with front end and back end. And the back end really is, okay, let's start with front end. Front end really is the part where the user gets to interface with, right? It has to do with the designs, the colors, the interactivity, collecting of data from forms, contact forms, subscription, emails, and all of that. So a front-end web developer sends that to a backend, right? So the backend is in charge of, the backend just receives the data, stores it in the database. So it's more like routes. There are routes there are middlewares. That's where security, right? Security of your data or your website or your web application is implemented. We also have communication with the database. So it's still the backend codes that will retrieve data from the front end, send it down to the database. Then when the front end queries it, the backend retrieves it from the database and feeds to the front end, right? So just a brief around what full stack web development is. So we'll be going to the vision, right? The vision of WTech Hub. So this internship, like I said, is the second cohort, and we have a vision. So the vision is to empower 5,000 young people to be self-employed and employers of labor with high-valued web development skills, thereby setting them up for higher aspirations in their tech career by 2029. So we looked at the market, We looked at the industry, we looked at the labor market, right? And we noticed that unemployment rates, of course, keep going high from country to country, not only in Nigeria, every other country, right? And we looked at it. Of course, there are different internship programs aimed at upskilling people and giving them that web development skill. However, you would find out that some of the internship programs that you'd see, right, is really about after the internship, you go ahead and you start looking for job, right? Or after the training, so to speak, or after the classes, right? You go ahead and you start looking for job. So what this does is that it's although you have the skill, right, but it still pushes you into the labor market. And what that has done, especially in the Nigerian tech landscape, is that it has made the value of developers to drop. Yeah. So the value of a developer 5 years ago in Nigeria is far higher than the value of a developer today. So you find out that those newbies who are just entering into the tech space, and they've been equipped with these skills. So the next thing is now to get a job and start to work, maybe for a software company or something. So what they do is they find themselves struggling with even getting the opportunities in the first place. Also because of how the economic realities have turned out to be. Secondly, is that even when they get employed, because they are just starting their career in tech, even when they get employed, they also find out that the pay is really not commensurate. And yet there's a lot of work, there's a lot of pressure from the company, even out of work hours, you need to work, you need to meet up and all of that. So there's a whole lot of pressure, and yet the reward system, talking about the money, talking about the remuneration, is actually not commensurate, right? So we looked at that, and we decided to change our model. Actually, our first cohort was we trained them towards that direction. But when we looked at it and we saw that this is what is actually happening, we decided to change our model. So what's the model for this cohort, or the model for this internship going forward? So the model of this internship is to equip you with the high valued web development skills, up to the point where you can, including entrepreneurial skills, right? And making you confident to be able to approach clients or get clients, right? And be confident in your skills. You satisfy your clients and you make your money in dollars, right? So I'll speak more about that as we dive deep. Okay, let's talk about the internship structure, right? So the internship is actually structured this way to have two parts. The first part is a free 1 month internship, which we've been announcing, publicizing, and all of that. And even from the WhatsApp group, you would get to see September 14th, which is this coming Saturday, 14th of September 2024, is when we will start the internship, and we'll end the internship 14th of October 2024. So 1 month free internship. However, the second part of the internship is actually a paid advanced masterclass. So now let me talk more about the paid advanced masterclass. Sometimes when you get to see you know, opportunities like this, or maybe you get to see upskilling opportunities, and maybe you are being asked to pay an amount and all of that. Some people actually get scared, right? And are like, oh no, maybe I didn't prepare for this, or maybe the money is too much, or something. There would always be maybe one or two challenges, right? However, but you need to understand what the internship is going to fetch you at the end of the day, because the plan is to run this internship from September to December, right? So that entering into 2025, you would already start getting clients. And I'm going to show you how to make money. with this web development skills, there are a lot of ways you can make money. I will show you even on this webinar, right? Before we even get to the paid advanced master class, because that's really where the entrepreneurial skills equally comes in as a web developer. You know, how to sell yourself, where do you sell yourself, how do you get clients, how do you bid for clients proposals, right? How do you get to value your tech skills? All of these things are the things we are going to expose you to, right? So, but just here on the call, I'm just going to show you some few tips um, or insight into what I'm actually talking about, right? So let's move. So what are you going to learn in the first part of the internship? So like I said, the first part of the internship is the free 1 month internship. And we have web development with HTML and CSS. We have domain name and web hosting, right? Introduction to WordPress. There's going to be a live project at the end of the day because you need to be able to work on something, come up with something, build a page, at least a single page application, which is going to be a tribute page. When it gets to that point, of course, you will get to give you more details about how the tribute page should look like, who are you writing about, and where to host it. And we equally show you how to host it, right? And different web hosting platforms that you could utilize. We also have portfolio building. So portfolio building, it's really about, when you start the internship, you start the learning process. We will encourage you to, as much as possible, write the things you learn on your social media pages, right? So people get to see, oh, you learned this today. So for example, maybe after the first class, you learned about HTML document structure. So you're able to go up there on maybe on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook, all your social media pages or handles, and you say, oh, this is what I learned. You can add an image to it to actually make it more engaging. And you're able to say, oh, I learned about, just write a little about HTML document structure, what it starts with. It starts with the doc type HTML declaration and all of that. There's a head, there is a body. This is what the head does, this is what the body does, and all of that. So you're at least able to write, right? After the first class, you write. The next class, you write. So you find out that at the end of the internship, you must have had more like a digital track record or a digital footprint. And people can, let's say in 2 year in a year time, right? When you get to tell people, oh, this is what I do, or maybe after a few months after the internship, you are able to tell someone, oh, this is what I do. The person says, oh, can you share your profile? You share, the person goes in there, checks up, maybe look at your post, try to see, okay, what have you been doing? What have you done? And even when you work on the tribute page, which is the live project, you're equally able to say, oh, I worked on this. You're able to show, demonstrate how it works, who you wrote about, why you wrote about this person, the colors you use, the design patterns, and all of that. So that actually gives you that kind of digital footprint, right? So it's going to be very interesting and impactful, and everything is going to be practical. I know people ask a lot of questions on the group, asking. I think one of the groups in particular, someone asked, is it going to be theory-based? Will there also be practicals? Of course, everything is practical because web development is practical. You can't learn it as a theory and know it, right? There has to be evidence, something to show, right? So yeah, so we move. What do you need for the class? So you need a laptop, power source, internet connectivity, full participation. So we encourage everyone to fully participate. Just make out time, and of course, there will always be challenge of, oh, I don't have time is not enough, I was doing this, I was doing that. So this could also be a time to work on your time management skills, right? So that you can be more productive, because at the end of the day, going through the internship, you want to be able to have something to show, to say, this is what I learned at the close of 2024. Because like I said, the internship is going to run from this September down to December. So when you enter into January 2025, you can be able to, have some level of confidence to say, oh, I met the sacrifice, I took the risk, I put in the effort, I was determined. In 2024, I was able to learn this web development skill, and here am I, satisfying my client and making my money, right? So I really encourage everyone to give in the time. I will still talk about the schedule in the next slide. Yeah. So for laptop, I still saw questions around, can I use my phone for this internship? So really, you can, for this phase of the internship, you can. However, you wouldn't have the best learning experience because you would have to be switching between applications, right? Say you are on Zoom, right, listening to the class, or maybe you even want to go on YouTube because everything we are doing, we are also streaming live on YouTube so that people will also get to, those who miss the class will also get to have a backup where they could always go back, listen to what was being taught, and they could follow through, right? So we have that as a backup. So so say you are following from YouTube, depending on which one you prefer, and and you're also coding, right? Coding, I'm actually going to show you, if you're making use of a phone, I'm actually going to show you websites, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't like you to download a software on your phone to learn how to code. Why? Because that software will definitely be heavy, and it could impact the functionality of your phone. So what I mean is that it could slow your phone process down and may not give you that speed. So I would really encourage you I would give you a website where you could just enter the URL on your browser. It takes you there. You just create an account, and from there you already see a code editor, right? There's a code editor for you there where you could write your HTML, you could write your CSS, you could write your JavaScript code, and you definitely also see the outputs, right? So, but also the limitation around that approach of using a phone also is that you are not going to be able to see how your website performs on a laptop screen, right? Because of course your website will be opened on different devices, either a laptop, um, tablets, phone, and any other device, right? So, but if you use a phone to code, then it means you can only see the performance, or you will only appreciate how your website looks on your phone, right? But if you open that same website on a laptop, you might see something different, right? So really, that's how it works. Okay, so we go to the class schedule, right? So the class schedule is actually going to be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So you would be required to put in 8 hours into the classes in order for you to be able to, um, at least work on the project, right? At the end of the day, depending on your level, actually depending on your level of um, proficiency at the moment, because I understand everybody is not a newbie, right? So there will be people who have already learned HTML, there will be people who have already learned CSS, there will be people who have already learned JavaScript, still coming into the internship. So it really depends, but I'm really talking about maybe someone starting from scratch, right? At least you would be required to put in the 8 hours of time per week. So for the 4 weeks, that's going to be 32 hours, right? That you'll be required to put in, just so that you can come up very successful at the end of the day. Okay, so Tuesdays is going to be 6 p.m. Watts, that's West African time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So if you have any other time zone, maybe you are on this recording from, or you're on this webinar from any other parts of the globe, right? So 6 p.m. West African time is actually 1700 hours. Yeah. Sorry, there's a mistake there. Okay, so just hold on. Okay, so it's actually 1700 hours, right? 1700 hours to 1900 hours. That's really what it is when you look at the GMT, because Nigeria is actually one hour ahead. So that's why 1700 hours GMT translate to 6 p.m. West African time. Same for this, right? Same for this. You have 19 here, and you have this 17 equally. This one equally goes for 1900 hours, right? So this goes for 900 hours. That's for Saturdays to 1100 hours, right? So that's actually how the class schedule is going to look like. So the class will be starting on the 14th of September, which is this coming Saturday, like I said, and we'll start by 10 a.m., right? 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. West African time. So 2 hours for each session. Okay, so I'll still give time for Q&A just in case there are the people that would want to ask questions. So assessment. So just to give you some level of accountability, because at the end of the day, you need this. This will actually help you to, move forward and actually be able to make meaningful progress in the course of the internship. So after each class, you'll be required to write. I earlier mentioned this. Write what you learned. Of course, attach an image which is going to make your posts more engaging, and put it on your social media pages, handles, and you just hashtag WTechHub. So for LinkedIn, you hashtag WTechHub, but for every other social media sites or handles that you wish to drop, you wish to post your progress, what you are learning on, then you can tag your friends, tag other tech related bodies, right? So, but for LinkedIn, so we'd like you to still tag your friends on LinkedIn actually, and equally tag W Tech Hub. So that also helps us to check out for your progress, right? And we also encourage everyone to create a LinkedIn account. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account here, then you need to create one. And if you have any challenge creating a LinkedIn account, of course, you could always reach out to any of the admins on the WhatsApp group for those on WhatsApp. Otherwise, you just drop your comments, right? So you'll be given a Google form to submit the link, right? At the end of the day, when you finish posting, you just copy the link and you submit on the Google form. And from there, we're equally able to check up to see how you are doing. Right. So yeah, so that's about the free 1 month internship class, what it entails. Now I want to dive into the master class. So the master class actually tends to be even more interesting because it goes deeper, right? So the 1 month is actually not sufficient for you to learn all there is to web development and be able to be confident with your web development skills. And also just to mention that when you look at web development, there are actually two parts, from the perspective where I'm going to make my explanation. So when I say two parts, I mean there are so web development is on its own, and there's another part of web hosting. So there are people that write codes, right? They're able to, you know, code websites from scratch. Maybe they're using React, React.js, or they're using Vue, or they are using Angular, and any other popular front end framework, right? Maybe like Laravel built on PHP, right? So people build these sites, there are people that code from scratch. So they have the more like the prowess of coding from scratch, and that's what they do. But there are also other people that they know the web development and they equally know the web hosting, right? So the people that many of the people that learn or know how to code from scratch, you would see them working in companies. So they work in companies where they have a product manager, where they have a UI UX designer. So you would often see them work with UI UX designers, right? So UI UX designers will, of course, design the how the site will look like with all the functionalities and everything using Figma. And those people who code from scratch, the web developers, would just look at the Figma design and would be able to replicate using code. So many of those people, many at times, really don't get to host their site because what they are doing is just they have been employed as developers. So they just develop, they code from scratch, right? But there's still another set of people, or there are people that have actually gone ahead to say, oh, I'm going to add web hosting to my web development skills. So by adding web hosting to your web development skills, it makes you a full-fledged web developer that can single-handedly handle a website from building to hosting and to managing it. Right. So that's really, but for this internship, like I said, this internship is designed to give you that combined skill. So you are going to use WordPress, right? That's the platform that you'll be using to spin out the website, and you equally learn web hosting. So that at the end of the day, you can manage a website from building of the website to hosting it, to even buying a domain name, connecting it to the website, getting a web hosting up until managing it and, subsequent uploads and everything on that website, you are in charge, right? So that makes you full-fledged. And from there, you can have that boldness and confidence to approach clients because already you've got yourself covered on both ends, right? So, so in the master class, since, like I said, since 1 month is not sufficient to learn all of this, um, we have the master class. So, master class is we are gonna do deep dive into WordPress development. Remember, in the free class, we have introduction to WordPress, but here we are going to dive deep into WordPress development. We also have responsive web design. Responsive web design just really has to do with how your website looks like on different devices. If somebody uses laptop to open your website, how will it look like? If somebody uses a tablet, how will it look like? If somebody uses a phone, an Android phone, Apple or whatever, how is your website going to turn out, right? So it has to be appealing. Everything has to be structured on each screen size, right? So that's really what responsive web design is about. We also give a free domain name. So, like I said in previous webinars, right? Domain names are not free, right? Just to give you an example. Okay, so we'll get there. I'll talk about, I would show you, I'll demonstrate. We also have free web hosting. So I think it's at this point, let me just give me a second. So let me just show you. All right. So let me see. Okay. So free web hosting, free domain name. So let's just move to, let's get to Namecheap, right? So let's just show you. Namecheap is just one of the hosting platforms. There are a whole lot. GoDaddy, Hostinga, Bluehost, and the rest. So many. So let's say, for example, you want to register a domain name. So like I said, in the master class, we are giving you a domain name for free. But let me just show you. So let's say you want to register a domain name called, let's just say my domain, this domain name might be taken already. So, but let's just add something to it. Let's just say my domain XYZ. Yeah. My domain xyz.com, for example. Say this is the domain we want to register, right? So let's see, just to see the pricing, how much it costs. All right, so it's trying to load, or it's loading. Okay. It's taking a little bit of time. Okay. Okay, so let me try to, let me see. Okay, chip.com. Okay, let me try to sign in, right? Okay, all right. So, okay. So I just want to show you something. Um, so while waiting for that domain name, so let's just go to web hosting, right? Web hosting. So like I said, we're also going to give free web hosting. But let's look at Namecheap, right? Just to look at the pricing. Let's look at Namecheap's pricing. So like I said, Namecheap is a web hosting platform. But let's look at Namecheap's pricing. So let's go to hosting, right? Shared hosting. So there are actually different kinds of hosting here. There's shared hosting, there is dedicated hosting, reseller hosting, WordPress hosting, and the rest. So, but let's go to shared hosting. Shared hosting is just about, let's say there's a server, right? And that server is hosting many people's websites. So you just subscribe to that shared hosting, meaning that the server that Namecheap is equally using for you is not dedicated. So when I say it's not dedicated, you are not the only one using that server, right? Other people are sharing that server. So that's what we now talk about, or that's what we mean by shared hosting. Okay, so we are here. Okay, so let's look at the different plans that they have. So they have Stellar. Stellar goes for $1.98 per month. And so for a year, you would pay $22.88 and you renew at 44. If you can see my cursor here, you renew at $44.88 per year. So what does this give you? So it gives you domain name, right? You can, of course, host domain name here. You have 3 websites. So you can only have maximum of 3 websites on this plan. 20 gig SSD, that's terms of memory, 30 mailboxes, website builder, AI tools. That's what Stellar gives you. However, Stellar Plus, you pay slightly more, right? $2.98 per month, which amounts to $34.88, and it renews at 68. Okay. So it also gives you domain name, like, you're able to, of course, buy a domain name on it, unlimited websites, right? So let me just explain at this point how you can make money. So that's what I said I was going to talk about. So let's say you've gone through the internship and you are building your own personal project, hosting this one, hosting that one, you're building, trying your hand, building different websites and all of that. Then, at the end of the day, you gain confidence, you're able to start, looking for clients. Let's say you get your first client, for example, and you charge him for web hosting, right? Okay, let's say from the beginning, you charge him for a domain name because every website must have a domain name, except you don't want it to be visible for any other person on the internet. But if you want that, of course, you need to get a domain name. So the client will pay for a domain name, the client will pay for building the website. So that's now you using your skill building the site. So he would pay you, right? Next thing is that the client will pay for web hosting. However, if the client pays you for web hosting, let's say you charge the clients, maybe you want to go for Stellar Plus, right? And you charge the clients, let's say for the first year, $34.88 to be able to host his website after creating it, right? So when you charge this client this amount and you build his site, you host it, you collect your money and everything. So there are other things that happen. What this hosting is going to do for you is that it gives you unlimited websites. So meaning that you've already hosted one of the websites, like one client website. So on this same hosting that you've already collected the payment from the first client, You can host the second client's website on this singular web hosting plan, right? Then you get to the third client. You host that, the third client website here. You go to the fourth and fifth and more. You host their website on this singular plan. But remember that for every of those clients, you've equally charged them for web hosting because they need to pay for web hosting. If not, where will their website reside for others to access? But from one client, you've already gotten the money for the subscription for this Stellar Plus. So this is actually what this does for you. Then you're able to save, it really depends, right? It's 34.88. So it depends on how much you want to charge the client. You can charge the client $40. You can charge the client $50 for web hosting. You can charge the clients, $60. Actually, these things are open, right? It's open. So the clients could equally go online and make these checks for himself, right? If he likes. So that's why it's good to just if something is fixed, just let it just be fixed. But at the end of the day, you can now charge the clients to say, oh, this is what I'm charging you, right? You charge the client for building the sites. It depends on how much you want to charge after you've gained confidence, because at the end of the day, it's really about confidence. At the beginning, when you are starting and you want to get your first client, what you are just praying for is you just need somebody that would just believe in your skill and will be able to just stake his money to say, oh, build this for me. But with time, as you keep growing and increasing, you gain the confidence, you gain that momentum, and definitely the value for your service continues to climb, right? So that's why it's always good to, start small. It might look like, okay, but you start small. So by starting small, also it's helping you, right, to also master, because different clients will come with different features. They might say, oh, for example, I need my website, I need social media feeds. Maybe the client already has a social media page, maybe like Facebook, Instagram, and the rest on Twitter or X, right? So the client is like, okay, I need the feeds on my social media pages to be appearing on my website. Probably you've never done that before, right? So, but what that does for you, when you accept that job, you go back and you do your homework, because by going through this internship and even beyond this internship, there's always a mentorship opportunity available. Like that one is free, is ongoing. So at the end of this internship, maybe you get stuck, you could always fall back to say, oh, I wanted to do this, I really don't know how to figure it out and all of that. Then, I could always come in and support, right? That's really what that community is about, right? That's what it is about. We support each other. By the time we've gotten that skill, we support each other to grow, right? So that's really what it is. You're able to get unlimited websites, right? So as many clients as possible, you bring them, host all their websites on this single platform, which you've already used one client to pay for. And also remember, while you are negotiating, with your client, you also need to let him know that these costs are renewed yearly. So as you can see, it renews, you pay $34.88 this year, and you renew the following year $68.88. So don't be afraid, this price will not change. Okay, let me not say this price will not change, because I'm not a staff of Namecheap, right? So, but what I just mean is that if you pay $68.88 next year, you'd most likely pay $68.88 the second year and the third year, So this discount that you have, where at the first year you get to pay $34.88, it's just for the first year. It's a discounted price for the first year. But when you go into the second year, you pay $68.88. That's the client, not you now, because of course it's not your website. So the client pays $68.88, every year. So these are things you even need to let the client know from the beginning, that they are recurring costs, so that the client will prepare himself to know, okay, I'm making this payment this year. By next year, this is how much I'll be paying, and it will just be a continuous thing. And also, since the client is going to be renewing these things yearly, domain names are renewed yearly, web hostings are renewed yearly, right? So since the client is going to renew these things yearly, then you equally put in your you can call it service fee, depending on, whatever terminology you want to call it, service fee, because you are the one that will do the renewal for the client. So you put in your fee also at that instance. So imagine you have 10 clients and their renewals have to happen, let's say, every month of the year, or let's say you have 12 clients, just a sample size. You can have more, of course, definitely. So let's say you have 12, and each of their renewals is to happen monthly. So you equally bring in your service fee. So it means every month you would be making your dollars, and you can make up to $1,000 or more, right? It depends on your level of skill. It depends on your confidence level. It depends on how many things you've done, how many projects you've built, how many sites you've built to have different experiences, right? You could build an e-commerce site and have an experience. You could build blog websites, even you could build normal professional websites that client just needs to show people to say, oh, this is what I do, these are my services and the rest. So there's a whole lot, really a whole lot of ways you can make money by learning and having this skill, right? So I'm just opening these things up to show you so that you would be able to have that confidence in what the training really has to offer. So let me just try to check the domain name I entered last time. Sorry, let me see. Namecheap.com. Let me see. So I tried to check out my domain. My domain, let's say, I don't know, lock.com. Just trying to put in anything so that I will show you. Okay, so this works. All right. So this is just a sample domain name, right? It's just sample. So let's say you want to register this domain, mydomainlock.com. Of course, this is the price, right? It tells you that you're going to pay $11.28 per year. So it's recurring, right? You pay for this year, renew next year, you just keep renewing. That's the client now. Yeah, just keeps doing the renewal. Okay, so you can equally see other TLDs. So TLD is just top level domain, right? So what's top level domain? Anything after this dot. So like you have .com, .org, .xyz, .net, .eu, .ng, as many as possible that you could think about. So those are called TLDs. That's top level domains, right? So you can see here that .com goes for $11.28 per year. .domains go for 35.98. .org goes for 7.48. .net goes for 4.48. .ai goes for 79. .xyz goes for 2. .me goes for this, and it keeps counting. So why did I bring that up is because we had said, or I had said, that you are going to get a free domain name in the master class. So just to show you that domain names are not free, but you get this for free. Equally, web hosting. I've already shown you the pricing for the web hosting. So that also tells you that web hosting is not free. But for this training, of course, you're going to have a free web hosting to work on, right? So we also have cPanel. cPanel is just, we don't have all the time to go into cPanel, but let me just show you what cPanel looks like. Let me log into my Namecheap. Okay, I'm already here. Let me just show you what cPanel looks like. Okay. cPanel is just a dashboard with tools, right? Where you're able to manage your website, you're able to manage your hosting, you're able to manage your domain name, and a whole lot. So do you see you have Softaculous apps installer. You can set up a Node.js application. You can set up a Python application. You can manage shell, right? Maybe you want to work with the shell. There's WordPress here, blogs, categories, and the rest. You can manage your files, emails. So I think the next thing, emails, databases, domain, security, and the rest. So I think the next thing I want to show you is around email, right? Let me just be sure. Yeah. So I said another thing we are going to give is unlimited business emails creation at no cost. So let me also explain this. And also, this could also be an opportunity for you to still make more money from your client. It depends on, you know, how you're able to be strategic, right? Okay, so yeah, so free business emails. So before I go on here, let me just show you Zoho. Zoho is just one of the platforms that's they're into CRMs, customer relationship management softwares. They're equally into email. They're also an email service and a whole lot. So, but let me just show you what I want to show you. Zoho email pricing, right? Okay, it's opening up. All right, so we have this. So this is zoho.com. So Zoho will give you, let's say you've bought a domain name. So let's say that domain name that I I tried to buy mydomainlock.com. So let's say that's your domain name. So you can actually come to Zoho here and connect your domain name to Zoho. Like by so doing, you are allowing Zoho to manage your emails for you. So when I say manage your emails, I just mean Zoho will just give you a platform where you're able to, manage your emails, create emails, send mails, receive, you're able to manage correspondence. So you can do this, set this up for your clients, right? So now, let me show you. So it tells you here that for a user for 1 month, for this Mail Lite option, so you are going to pay 416 Naira. You could always see the equivalent in dollars here when you change currency, right? So Mail Lite is $1 a user per month, and it's billed annually. So so for 5 gig, this is really what it is. But if you want to change it to 10 gig, let's say you need more space for your emails, you actually change it to 10 gig, and maybe that's what you want to sign up for. And the client will have to pay this amount, $1.25 a month, for one email with 10 gig space storage, right? So it means that in a year, he's going to pay around maybe $14 thereabouts. That's for one. So say the client has like maybe 10 emails. So 14, so in a year, he's going to spend like, $14 times 10 emails. That's $140. That's the amount the client will spend a year for a sample 10 emails, right? So $140. Okay. So if he goes for this plan, this plan, that's the mail premium here, actually gives him more storage. So that's what you just see, and some other options down here, right? So yeah, so that's what this does. So remember, $140 for 10 emails per year. So that's that. But now coming to Namecheap, for example. So at Namecheap, you can actually create these emails for free and manage them for free, and even help the client set it up on his phone, on his phones, maybe just like you have Gmail, right? You just download your Gmail app and, sign in your account, and, here you go. You're already receiving emails and sending. So you could equally set it up on the client's mobile device, on laptop or whatever. So it wouldn't be you managing it, but it resides to the client, right? And it gives him that convenience so that he can always respond to correspondence as they come. So here, using this cPanel from Namecheap, let me click on email account. I actually want to show you something. Okay, so I have a couple of domain names here, as you can see. Yeah. So, but what I want to show you is that just with this hosting, because what gave me this platform is that I subscribe to the hosting. That's the second option. That's Stellar Plus. I subscribe to Stellar Plus. And that's what gave me this window to do what I'm doing. So from here, you can create. So look at it. You can create an email. So it asks you what domain do you want to create it? Is it Ben Smart Tech? Okay, so these are my domains. So it will just ask you if you have more than one domain. So it asks you which of the domains do you want to create it on. So you make a choice. Then come here, you just put in the username. Say you want to say maybe admin. I think I already have admin, but let me just say admin 123 just to make a difference. Admin 123 at benchmarktech.com. So you can set your password now or later, right? So here, let me show you optional settings. So can you see here storage space? Storage space is actually, you can increase it. You understand? You can even choose unlimited. Look at. So you can choose unlimited. So with the unlimited, the client does not need to bother himself about, oh, 50 gig. When would my email storage be full for me to, subscribe for or increase the space or whatever. So unlimited, and you create it for free. Or alternatively, say you want gig, you want to change the unit of measure from megabyte to gigabyte. Maybe you want to give the client 250 gigabyte. It really depends on you, right? See terabyte and the rest. So let's say gigabyte. So it means you can create this email with 250 gig. Okay, so let me just create so that you would see. Okay, so let me create admin 123. Okay, so I need to enter a password. So let me just say, I don't know, just type anything. I'm going to delete this email afterward. I'm just using it for this webinar. So let me create, right? So it's creating my email. So success. You created admin123 at bensmartech.com. So let's look for it. This is it. So if you can see here, you will see 0 bytes of 250 gig. Do you see? So it really depends. You can increase the space. But looking at Zoho, what did Zoho tell us? Zoho told us that, oh, they could give us 50 gig for $1.25, right? That's for one email. But here, you have unlimited space and you are creating it for free. You're not paying. You just create it, and from here you can check. Look at it. You can check the email, you can manage, you can connect devices. I wouldn't go deep. I wouldn't go beyond this because this is part of what we'll treat in the advanced masterclass. But I'm just trying to show you, just to hint you that this is something very promising, really, really. And it's something you need to take advantage of, right? Because at the end of the day, when I teach you all these tips and tricks and, you go out there, you are charging your client, you are smiling to the bank and the rest. All right. Yeah, so you can create, right? Let me see. You can create again. You just click on the create, enter another one, as many as you want. You just create, right? Then at the end of the day, you hand it over to your clients. You help him set it up or help her set it up on, their devices, and off you go. They continue with their correspondence. You just stay here. If they have any technical challenges or difficulty, you just swing into action. And one thing I also like about Namecheap has excellent customer service, right? So if you have any challenge, you could always talk to their support and they would respond almost immediately. I mean, I've used Namecheap for a while now, and yeah, I've experienced that. Okay. Yeah, so let's go back. Okay, so you have free web hosting, that's in the advanced masterclass. cPanel, unlimited business emails creation at no cost is what I've just shown you. And of course, I'll show you more. Okay, so what else? There's going to be an expert session with a UK-based Upwork expert. So he's going to be taking us. He used Upwork. Of course, he was a web developer. He used Upwork to actually get his job, and he has been working, earning thousands of dollars, making the money and all of that. So he has first-hand experience. He's gonna come in the master class, and of course he will take us through. We also have expert session on SEO. Of course, we have search engine optimization is very critical to your website at the end of the day, because people want to ask questions or type something related to your website or a post, and be able to see it pop up. see your website pop up, right? So that you could have more visitors, people engaging with your website and all of that. Okay, so we are going to have an expert session with an SEO expert also in the master class. So we also, practical ways of selling yourself as a developer. Then we'll build an e-commerce website. That's going to be the class project. We'll build an e-commerce website with payment integration. So whether you want to use Stripe, Paystack, or whatever. So we would show you how, right? It's a practical thing. So this is just going to be one of the things you would do. Then at the end of the day, of course, you equally have a project to work on. Okay, so I've talked about business part of web development, even after how to negotiate and all of that. Then certificates. People also asked, are we going to be certified? Yes, you will. However, that comes in the master class. So it's going to be a certificate at the end of the internship. And so like I said, the certificate is not for you to use the certificate to look for job. So I just want to make that clear. The certificate is not for you to use that. It's just an evidence to show that you are trained as a web developer and you have those skills that you said you have, right? It also adds to your credibility because, like I said, we are training you to become self-employed. That's really what we are doing. Then, as you keep growing, you keep growing, keep having the experiences, a time would come where you just notice that you need more people to work with you, right? You need to employ writers, content creators, and all of that. So that's really, and you're making your money. You learn search engine optimization very well. You have people sending you messages. They want to put things on your website. They want to make adverts, and you could even create your own website and also make your money from there, right? So there's a whole lot, really a whole lot that you can experience by subscribing for this class. Okay. So I think finally, one of the things people want to hear is how much is the cost for the class. So for the paid class, the master class, is just 25,000 naira, which is equivalent to $16 only, right? And you are not paying this. It's for 3 months, but you are not paying this every month. So it's a one-time payment for the 3 months after the free internship class. So it's a great opportunity when you look at the benefits, when you look at the experience of the host, or the people that will be teaching you and all of that. So you get to see that you are gathering so much experiences that would quickly launch you into making your own money as a web developer. So yeah. So I think that's that. At this point, I'll just leave the floor for questions and answer. So if you have a question, you can unmute and ask. You can put it in the chat box, right? So let's get your questions at this point. Okay, Lawrence Eneberry, please go ahead.
Good evening, boss. I really appreciate you enjoyed the class. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you. All right. So you mentioned earlier that for every domain name you buy, you can have several websites on it. So I just want to know the maximum, like what is the maximum limit that you can do particular domain name?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Lawrence. So okay, are you done?
Yes, I'm done. But I have one more question though, but I just wanted to answer this first. Perhaps
Okay.
maybe give an insight to the answer to the audience.
Okay. Thanks. So like I said, yeah, you talked about one domain name, but just to correct, it's not one domain name, it's one web hosting plan that gives you that opportunity. So let me still go back to Namecheap. Namecheap. I'm already logged in. Okay, so let's see. So hosting, that's really what I talked about. So like I said, there are different hosting platforms, and different hosting platforms have different pricings. They have their own price plan. So I'm showing you the one for Namecheap because of course, it's I have a very good recommendation for Namecheap. I'm not in any way a staff of Namecheap or whatever, but just to let you know that I've been using Namecheap for a while and I really love their service, right? And just to explain, where you said unlimited, like how many websites can you have? So look at this. This is from Namecheap. It's not from me. Can you see? If you go for the Stellar plan, so the Stellar plan will give you just 3 websites. So you can only host 3 websites, and after 3 websites, you cannot host any more. You would probably need to upgrade, right? Or buy another plan, right? So, but if you pay for Stellar Plus here, Stellar Plus gives you, you can see here now, unlimited websites. So you just keep building and building and this is called shared hosting, and the hosting is on a server. So the server is not serving you alone; it's serving many other websites, and they have that infrastructure. Of course, at least I have the experience. I've used Namecheap for a while. Like I said, they have that capacity, right? So unlimited websites with this plan. But if you're going for this plan, then you just have 3 websites, right? If you go for this one, Stellar Business, you equally have unlimited websites, right? But there is more in the Stellar Business, as you can see. So, but for you, this is just very fine. It's a very fine plan to get started with. You understand? That's for your client. Is that, I don't know if I answered your question, Lawrence.
Yes, it's very clear. I did not see this earlier, so I wouldn't have asked if I saw this earlier.
Okay, it's
Okay,
fine.
thank you. It's fine.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, Similain, Samuel, please go
Good evening,
ahead.
good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening.
Okay, sir. From both in both master classes, I can't find anything related to JavaScript here, sir. Are you trying to tell us that we don't need any coding, like any coding experience apart from the HTML and CSS in the master class? What about the situations whereby we would have to
I lost
not
your
code it?
Samuel, if you are still speaking.
Okay, can you
I
hear
don't know
me?
if any other person can hear him, but
Can you hear
I
me like
can't hear
this?
him any longer.
Can you hear me? Maybe.
Sorry, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? I can't seem to hear anyone.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, great.
okay, great.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So sorry, I lost you for a bit. So maybe you could just
Okay, I've sent my question on the chat session.
okay, so let me check it out. Let me just keep sharing. Let me check it out. Okay, so like situations where we would have to build our UI not using WordPress themes. Okay, so I think I heard you mention JavaScript, right? So now if you look at
I've
the,
sent the question again.
you said?
I said I've sent the question again.
Okay,
I
all
actually
right.
sent 2 questions. Okay.
Okay, so you said, so what about JavaScript? Is not included in both classes. Also, when you said WordPress development, are we not writing any form of code at all in the master class? Okay, so WordPress is a content management system, right? Basically, you could say it is low code, low, LOW, or no code, NO, right? You can build your WordPress website from beginning to the end without touching any code, right? You could equally build your website, your WordPress website, and you decide to code. It's a choice. So when I say decide to code, because there is a backend of WordPress where you could get to see the HTML, you get to see the CSS, and you get to see the JavaScript. And you can get to, like, you can put in your own code, right? Maybe there's something you want, there's something that is not present in the theme, but you want it. So you can do your own coding in there. However, you don't even need knowledge of that really. It's only when you need some kind of special features and maybe you already know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So you just go in there, just go to the backend and do your typing, and before you know it, you just see the effect. However, this class, so because that is possible, it's possible to actually spin out a solid and professional WordPress website without actually coding anything. So we decided to limit it to HTML, CSS. But we can still go into JavaScript. It depends on the time, because it's really about the time frame. You understand? All the things that we have to cover. We can go into JavaScript. I write JavaScript, right? So that's not a problem. But JavaScript also takes some time for people to understand, especially people that maybe you've not, you're a beginner, you just came into coding, right? Or say you didn't even study something like computer science or computer engineering or information technology. You've never had to deal with code. It takes time. But we just curated the curriculum of this internship just for 4 months. And you would agree with me that if we bring in JavaScript, then we would have to extend the internship. I teach JavaScript also, and I can teach it. So that's not a problem. So, but the internship would have to extend. But that's not the plan. It's not the plan because you can build your WordPress site, like I said, successfully and professionally without touching any code. So, but why are we teaching HTML and CSS in the free internship class? We are teaching HTML and CSS because that's actually the foundation of every website. So in the course of working, let's say you never learned HTML and CSS, and you just learned WordPress, and you are just working with templates, just editing them directly with Elementor or any other maybe website builder, and you are hosting them. So you might find out that you might get to a point in your career, or where or maybe some kind of special features that you just need to put in that maybe you've not seen, you've not found, you've not seen a plugin or something, and you just need to make it custom, something that you want to do it by yourself in the way the client has requested that it should be done. So at that point, knowing HTML and CSS, you just go in there and you know what you are doing. You type your code and all of that, and you get to see the result. So that's why we are teaching HTML and CSS. And secondly, also, if you choose to go to the part of, like, if after learning HTML and CSS and WordPress, you now later want to learn frameworks like maybe React, for example. Let's say you want to also move to that point to learn React, to learn Vue.js or Angular, and begin to interact with APIs and all of that. You should have already had that foundation, right? You already have HTML and CSS as a foundation. Then you just learn JavaScript, and from there you move to React. And you after React, of course, while working with React, you get to learn Git and GitHub, or maybe even during the HTML class, you already get to learn Git and GitHub. All these things actually take time for people to learn and understand, especially people seeing them and hearing them for the very first time. So we looked at all these things that we wish to cover. We can actually go beyond to say, oh, we want to teach Git and GitHub. I do that. I want to teach JavaScript, but it will only extend the time for the internship. So we can actually bring in that, maybe JavaScript and any other thing. I also write React, right? So we can actually do those things after the internship. Maybe as we go through the internship, I get to bring up to say, oh, I would like to teach people JavaScript and also go into React, so that you would have a two-sided form of web development. You would be able to use WordPress on the other end. The other end, you'll be able to use React. Because when you learn React, you learn Vue and Angular and all of that, you are going to tend towards companies that they are building products. So when I say building product, I mean maybe like a fintech solution, for example. Of course, you definitely need this because you'll be collaborating with other developers. So there's going to be interface. You need to know Git and GitHub. But for WordPress, you can successfully build a WordPress website and everything without even knowing Git and GitHub. And your site is professional. You're able to manage it with your cPanel and also with your WordPress dashboard, and off you go. So it's many-sided, right? And so, but I just wanted to create something streamlined where at the end of the day, someone will be able to have success. You would be able to say, oh, I can stand on my own. I can serve clients. Then from there, if you wish to go beyond, you want to learn JavaScript, you want to learn React, you could always go and climb. That's why the foundation is HTML, CSS. Every other thing can follow after, right? I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Thanks.
sir. Understand.
Yeah. Thanks. Any other question? Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. So if there's no other question, would end the webinar here. I really appreciate your time. I also want to encourage us. So like the classes, we're also going to use YouTube to also stream. We'll equally be streaming live on YouTube. So I also encourage everyone, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it. You see videos there, some live stream. You can, react, like, share, comments, and just engage with it, and also turn on your notification bell. That's also important. So what that does for you is that anytime we start our classes, so say maybe you were engulfed with activities and all of that, immediately we start our classes, of course, you have that notification coming up. So you also get to know that, oh, the classes have started and all of that. So yeah, so thanks everyone once again for joining. I believe we had a very fruitful and productive webinar. Thank you and good night.